What's up YouTube, it's TF Collector, and today I will be reviewing the Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class Wheeljack, or more appropriately, Q from Transformers Dark of the Moon. So let's go ahead and start off by taking a look at the packaging. So right up front, Transformers Studio Series Dark of the Moon, Wheeljack or Q. Hasbro has some nice pictures of Q there on the side. Transforms in 23 steps, 8 and up. On this side of the box, you have a profile image of Q or Wheeljack, Transformers Studio Series Dark of the Moon. On this side, you have the rest of that picture carried over there. You also on the vehicle mode, Autobot logo, Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class. On the back of the packaging, you have a still from the movie, Dark of the Moon, Wheeljack Q. Wheeljack Q uses his skills as a scientist to create gear for the Autobots. Some more product shots there, 23 steps, more than meets the eye. Licensed Mercedes product, Hasbro. On the bottom, you have words. On the top, you have Dark of the Moon, Wheeljack Q, and Takara Tomy. And before we take a look at Q himself, he does of course come with his instruction manual. Picture of the figure there, 8 and up, Studio Series Transformers, Transformers Dark of the Moon, Wheeljack Q, and here on the back, Takara and Hasbro. And moving on to the figure itself, here is Q in his vehicle mode, and he is a licensed Mercedes, and I think he looks very nice. So just coming in here on the details, you can see nice Mercedes logo there on the front with some nice silver and black for the grille, nice silver for all the headlights, some black down here along the bottom. You can see most of the car just done in the blue. You do have painted wheels, which is very nice with some silver in there. You see all the windows done in black. These are very nice looking. On the back, some more painted black for the back windshield. He is an E550, if we can focus a little bit here. And he is a licensed Mercedes. Of course, you have the red with the silver there on the tail lights. And the other side looks the same. There is the top, very nice. There is the bottom. You can clearly see his head and his body and everything else. But overall, I think that they did a great job representing the vehicle mode that we see in the movie. Now, Q does come with 2 accessories, the first one being this little staff-looking thing here, and you can see it's just done in this unpainted gray plastic, but some nice detailing throughout. And the other thing that he comes with is this blaster here, once again done in unpainted gray plastic, but nice detailing throughout. Now, these can store here in vehicle mode, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to take this tab here and plug it into this slot here. So just tab that right in, like so. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take this tab that's kind of like a square, and you're going to plug it right here into this side of Q. So just plug that right in, which can sometimes be a little difficult. But as you can see, not very elegant storage, but it is storage nonetheless. And for a quick few comparisons here with Q, here he is with Studio Series 87, Dark of the Moon Bumblebee, Deluxe Class figure, and you can see they are roughly the same size there, look very good together. Here he is with Studio Series Optimus Prime. This is number 32, but the Dark of the Moon version is the same exact figure, so you can see how those do scale together. You can see Prime quite a bit longer, as he should be, being a Voyager and a truck. And the last vehicle mode comparison I figured we'd bring in here is another figure that never really got a proper figure when Dark of the Moon came out. Here he is with Studio Series 71 Dino, who unfortunately they did not get the Ferrari license for, like they did the Mercedes for Q here, but you can see those do look pretty good together. So yeah, I really like the way these two turned out. Now, I do not have the original Dark of the Moon Deluxe Q. He never really got a proper release, so now he goes for insane aftermarket prices. And now having this figure, I'm not sure I ever will get my hands on that guy. So no comparison with the original, but I do like the way that this guy scales with some other Studio Series figures. Now, turning to transformation here for Q, it is mostly smooth until we get to the end, which you will see, but we will get there. So the first thing we're going to do is come to these back wheels here and just untab them from under there and just bring those out to about right there. Do the same thing over here. Just bring those out to about right there. And now what you're going to do is you're going to grab this section and you're going to lift it up like so. Do the same thing over here. Lift that section up. Now these sections are on hinges here, and basically what you're going to want to do is just swing this hinge here forward all the way, like so. Do the same thing here on the other side. Just swing that hinge forward. Come on, swing that forward. So you want those hinges up here now, and then what you can do is turn here and come here and just use that hinge to bring those pieces up and get all that out of the way. Now what we can do is come back here, and we're going to just grab this this window section and bring that up like so. You can see there is a tab there that just tabs right up in there going into vehicle mode. And now we can free up his arms. So you're just going to want to untab them from the back legs and then untab them from one another. You can then straighten the arm out like so. Now you're going to come to the front here, and basically the way you're going to want these oriented is you're going to want the ball joint there facing forward, and then you're going to use this lower hinge to have the hand facing forward. So that's how you want that to turn out looking. Do the same thing over here. Rotate this so the bicep or ball joint is facing forward, and then use that lower hinge to get the hand facing forward. Now we can just get these arms up and out of the way, and we will work on the legs. So the first thing we're going to do here is just split the legs like so. Then we're going to swing around here and untab these back pieces and just bring them up to get them out of the way. And now what you're going to do is you're going to swing this entire back half inwards like so. And when you get halfway, you're going to want to pull the foot out. If we can get to that foot, come here foot, come here foot, come here foot. This can be a bit of a struggle sometimes. Sometimes I just grab the heel spur, which will help you get it out, and then just complete swinging that around. Now you come back here and just push that piece back up, flush against the back, and the heel spur will come back and tab in. You can hear it will click right into place, and there you have one leg complete. You're going to do the same exact thing here on the other side. You're just going to swing this inwards so that the foot is facing the inside. You're going to maybe have to use the heel to pull that back, and that will tab in, and then complete the swing. Bring that up, and there you have Q's legs and arms, both all transformed. And this is the point where this gets a little bit annoying. This gets a little bit frustrating, transforming this guy into robot mode. The transformation into vehicle mode is very smooth, but into robot mode, it gets a little frustrating, and you're going to see why right here. So basically what is happening here is this whole piece is eventually going to swing down, and that tab there is going to go into a groove right back here. And to do that, you're going to have to bring this down, and it's going to tab in, but you don't want to tab it in yet. The first thing that you want to do is swing around here, and you want to swing these pieces down. They're on hinges right here. Just swing those pieces down like so. And now what you're going to want to do is come here, make sure these pieces are up all the way. They are on hinges, you can see. Make sure those are up all the way, and then you can start to bring this section down. So just make sure these stay up on their hinges, and bring this section down. You can now tab that into the back at that spot that I previously showed you. Take this window here, swing it underneath like so. Make sure that stays tabbed in. And now this is the frustrating part that really gets on my last nerve. So basically, you're going to have to mess around with all these hinges. You want to make sure this stays hinged all the way in. And what's going to happen is there's a groove here that's going to go into a tab right there inside that window. But also you want to bring this piece down and over the shoulder. So to do that, basically what I do is I start by pushing this in. So just bring this piece all the way down. Come on now, work with me. Work with me. There we go. So bring that piece down, and now this piece will come in and tab up in there into that window section. So this is how you want the shoulder pad looking when you're done. Do the same thing here on the other side. Basically what you're doing is you want to make sure this piece is down, and you want to push this piece down. It should snap into place Oh, there we go. I always feel like I'm going to break it. That's the reason I hate this freaking step. But then you want to swing this in and tab this into the window. And that is how you want those looking. And once you get that little fiddly, annoying part of the transformation done, here is Q or Wheeljack, whatever you want to call him, in his robot mode. And after waiting 7 years of Studio Series to finally get a Q, I am satisfied with what we got, but I do unfortunately think they could have done better here. And I'm going to tell you what I meant, but for now, let's just get in close on the details. You can see the head sculpt there is nicely done, but unfortunately not very much paint, and that is my main gripe with the robot mode. You can see blue hair, gold teeth, or mustache, whatever that's supposed to be, blue eyes, but other than that, unpainted gray plastic is the title of this figure. Unpainted gray figure. You can see blues all through there, golds, but look at all this detail. Look at all this detail. Look at all this unpainted gray detail. It drives me insane. But even coming down the leg, more unpainted gray detail. I mean, where did the paint go? Was it all blue paint? Where is the paint? The arms, where is the paint? Very nice details all throughout the figure, but where is the paint, Hasbro? Come on now. But you can see he is movie accurate, sculpting wise and proportion wise, but where is the paint? On the back, you can see you have this little bit of a backpack going on, but I don't think it looks all that terrible. The legs are a little weird and wonky looking from this angle, but from the front, I don't think they look bad at all. I am happy with the figure we got, but where is the paint? I mean, overall, he looks pretty good, but what a nice coating of paint would have done for this figure to bring out all those awesome details here in the robot mode. Now, when it comes to the articulation here on Q, he is unfortunately pretty limited, but the head is on a ball joint, so it can look up a little bit, it can look down a little bit. Cannot do a full 360 due to the design, but it can turn left and right. This piece can come up to accommodate for the shoulder, which is on a ball joint, so it can go forward that far. It can go back that far. It can go outward. You do have a bicep swivel right there. You do have a ball jointed elbow, so you can rotate the arm side to side. And you can also bend the elbow up. And if you want to turn it, you have another hinge there, so you can bend the elbow even more up if you want to do that. These hip skirt pieces can move up out of the way. The legs are also on ball joints. They can do a big old high kick. They can't get very far back. They cannot quite do a full split. You do have thigh rotation. You do get knee bend. If you pull this piece back, you get about 90 degrees there. The feet can't really do anything. You can move them up a little bit due to transformation, but there is no ankle pivot. There is no waist articulation. So unfortunately, when it comes to the articulation aspect, Q is pretty limited here in his robot mode. And if we bring in the accessories, we do have a few options. The first of which is you can have him holding both of them. So you can take that tab, plug that into the hand, take that tab, plug that into the hand, and you can have him holding both weapons. Another option is that you can combine the two. So just like in vehicle mode, you can just combine the two together, and you can have him holding one big blaster if you want to do that, but they can store. You just use that same post from the car mode and just store it right there. And I personally, this is a rare instance for me where I will be storing a figure with their weapon. If I can get that to tab in, hello. This will be a rare instance where I store a figure with his weapons on his back because that is the movie accurate look. So it is cool that they gave us the movie accurate storage option. And for a few quick comparisons here with Q, here he is with Studio Series 44 Leader Class Dark of the Moon Optimus Prime. So you can see how he scales with the Studio Series version of the Prime from his movie. Here he is with his Murderer Studio Series, I think 27, maybe 28 Barricade. There he is. I'll plot the right number for Barricade up right there. So you can see how his murderer looks beside of him. Here he is with Studio Series 87, Deluxe Bumblebee. So you can see how he scales with B from his movie. Here he is, lastly, with Studio Series Dino. So you can see how those two scale together. And I lied, because this is not lastly. I'm going to bring in two other figures, and this isn't really a comparison. This is more of me making a comment. So if you want to skip this, then feel free. But we're going to bring in 94 Hatchet, and I think 51 Soundwave and Laserbeak. And this is what I love Studio Series for. When I started Studio Series, I made a list of figures I wanted to see from the Studio Series line, and being the Dark of the Moon nerd that I am, the one that these are the four I wanted the most. I wanted a Dino, a Q, those were my 1 and 2, and I wanted a Dark of the Moon Soundwave and a Dark of the Moon Hatchet. And here they are. They look beautiful, and I'm glad that Hasbro has given us these characters in figure form through the Studio Series line. So thank you, Hasbro, for these beautiful figures. But now that I've hyped up and thanked Hasbro, I think I'm going to have to drag them down and humble them here for a second. Bringing in this Prime. This isn't a comparison, this is another comment. Here is Age of Extinction Prime and Q, who just came out in the same wave. And if you look at these figures, there is one looming factor that brings them both down from being beautiful. Now, don't get me wrong, this is still beautiful, and this is still really cool to see. But one factor, Hasbro, paint! P-A-I-N-T, paint. Where is the paint? Look at this chest. Look at this chest. Look at this head. Look at this head. Where is the paint? There's no paint detailing on these figures to a good extent. These figures need more paint. Hasbro, please, 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 I'm begging of you, start focusing more on paint with these Bayverse figures in the Studio Series line, because you're making awesome figures with great details. They just need paint. So there's my quick little ramble about why Studio Series Bayverse figures need paint. So that is my review for the Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class Wheeljack, or more appropriately, Q from Transformers Dark of the Moon. And overall, I am happy with the figure, because I am happy to finally see this character get another figure that is finally widespread released and isn't a release that gets canceled halfway through and is now a very obscure figure to find. We finally have a proper version of this character in figure form. Now, unfortunately, the figure is not perfect. The paint details are very lacking, especially in the chest area and the head sculpt. They both could have used a lot more paint to pick out the details, but unfortunately Hasbro did not give us that. Another complaint is the final little section of the transformation where you're messing around with those shoulders and the backpack. That can get a little annoying at times. But the pros of the figure are, of course, that we finally got this character as a figure, and he looks pretty good. He has very good details, and for the most part, the transformation is fun, and now the vehicle mode is perfect. The vehicle mode is absolutely beautiful. No complaints there. But overall, I am glad we finally got a Q in figure form once again. So that is about all I have to say about him. I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. If I had to rate Q, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. That's probably generous due to the lack of paint detailing and the little annoying step at the end. But I'm just really glad to finally see another Bayverse Dark of the Moon figure. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out, other than the paint. Paint, paint, paint. Keyword, paint. Should I say it one more time? I'll let you say it. You just said it in your head. But there's my review for Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class Wheeljack, or Q in parentheses. And yeah, that's about all I had to say about him. 9 out of 10 here. Don't forget to not sacrifice the things you love for the approval of others. I'll see you guys soon with Studio Series 18 Bumblebee. See you then. Until then, roll out. Peace.